The meeting of the Committee on Accountability, Finance, and Personnel of the Board of Directors will please come to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Director Herndon.
Present.
Director Jackson has asked to be excused. Director Leonard.
Present.
Director Zombor.
Present.
And Chair Garcia.
Present.
That's 4 members present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. The Chair now asks the Secretary to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Chair invites any members of the audience who wish to participate to do so, and asks those who do not wish to participate to please remain silent during the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being conducted from the Central Services Building. In order to allow as much public access and participation as possible, this meeting is also being broadcast via live stream on the MPS website and on the MPS YouTube stream, the links to which may be found on the MPS website on the broadcast page. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of the audience.
8130-5. Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la Junta Escolar de las Escuelas Públicas de Milwaukee. Si desea escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor llame al 312-626-6799. Nuevamente, 312-626-6799. E introduzca el número de reunión 608-130-5362. Nuevamente, el número de reunión es 608-130-5362. Gracias.
For each of our items of business, we will hold a discussion and public hearing. If you wish to speak, please fill out a speaker slip and bring it to our Secretary, Ms. Koala. We have no virtual speakers registered. When we are called upon to speak, please state your name and spell your last name for the record. For the sake of fairness and to give everyone a chance to speak, the Chair reserves the right to limit the length of time allowed to any one speaker. Written testimony will be accepted for transmittal to the board. Send this testimony to the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 53201, or fax to 414-475-8071, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Just as a reminder, Robert Rules of Order dictates that all comments should be directed to the chair of the committee. Also, any questions or requests, including those from the public, committee members, or the administration, are to be directed to the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. For the safety of all, and to ensure the good order of a meeting, harassment or intimidation tactics of any kind will not be tolerated. Anyone who engages in such harassing or intimidating words or actions will immediately be asked to cease. If behavior continues, a recess will be called, and the offending parties will be removed from the meeting. Anyone ejected from the meeting may continue to listen to the meeting or access the agenda items online. However, the individual will not be allowed to rejoin the meeting. Also, no one other than members of the board, designated staff, and those who have been invited to present or participate in items of business will be allowed on stage before, during, or after board meetings of its board and its committees. Finally, for our listening audience, if you wish to access this evening's agenda items and attachments online, you may do so by visiting the meetings, agendas, and minutes page on the MPS website. Now let's begin. Madam Secretary, item 1.
Item 1 is action on monthly personnel matters, action on classified personnel transactions, action on certificated appointments, action on leaves of absence, report on resignations and retirements, and the affirmative action report. The recommendation is that the board approve the promotions, appointments, and leaves as listed in the attachments to the item to be effective upon approval by the board.
Would the administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, Keith Posley, Superintendent of Schools. We are asking your approval of the monthly personnel and reporting items before you. Adria Madalini, Chief Human Resources Officer, is with me this evening, and between the two of us, we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item. Thank you.
Do committee members wish to make any comments or ask questions? Director Leonard.
So you know I always like numbers. Can you give us just a quick sort of rundown on where we're at with the different, both classified and certificated? This is also for public disclosure too. Thank you.
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Adria Madalini, Chief Human Resources Officer. I can break down vacancies-wise what we're looking at. Teachers, around 146 for vacancies. That's core content. Paraprofessionals, we're looking at 155 vacancies. When it comes to food service, we're just around 100. I think depending on our next orientation, I think it will be coming up later this week or next week, so that could get us below the 100 mark. So we're very excited about that number in particular because it's been a long time since we've been that low when it comes to our food service assistants. When it comes to safety, we're fully staffed. Building service helpers, we are fully staffed. Clericals, I believe we're around 19 or 20 secretary vacancies.
Any follow-up?
No, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We had no speaker requests for this item, Madam Chair.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Leonard.
So I move that we accept all of the monthly personnel matters presented by administration.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All right. Will the secretary please call a roll?
On Director Leonard's motion to approve the recommendations of the administration relative to the monthly personnel matters, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zombor.
Aye.
And Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item 2, action on recommended administrative appointments, promotions, reassignments and reclassifications, salary increases and decreases, and limited term employment LTE contracts exceeding 60 days. The recommendation is that the board approve the promotions, appointments, and limited term employment contracts as listed in the attachments to the item to be effective upon board approval.
Thank you. Would administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, we're requesting your approval of this item as it outlines this month's administrative appointments, promotions, reclassifications, salary adjustments, and LTE contracts. I have with me Adria Madalini, Chief Human Resources Officer, to review this item. Following, we will be more than happy to entertain any questions that you may have. Adria.
Thank you, Dr. Posley, Chair Garcia, members of the committee, Adria Madalini, Chief Human Resources Officer. Just wanted to highlight, we had some last-minute additions to the appointment list. We have a name for the Director of School Safety, the Principal for Lincoln Center of the Arts, and then a Manager for Grant Accounting. So these are some last-minute adds, and we want to do everything we can to get them forward and start as soon as possible.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make any comments or ask questions? Director Zombor.
Just a quick question. Thank you, Chair Garcia. Is the analyst one for the MPS Foundation, is that one of the new positions or is that an existing position?
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Zombor, Adria Madalini, Chief Human Resources Officer, that is the new position. That's my understanding.
Any follow-up? All right. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
Madam Chair, we had no speaker requests for this item.
All right. What is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? President Herndon. Oh. Okay.
Madam Chair, I recommend that we accept the recommendation of administration with this item.
Is there any further discussion? All right, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Leonard,
Aye.
Director Zombor,
Aye.
and Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Perfect. So before we proceed to the next item, on behalf of this committee, I'd like to recognize all of the candidates listed in the previous 2 items. You're now one step closer to higher promotion or transfer. All right, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 3 is action on monthly finance matters, authorization to make purchases, reports on change orders in excess of $25,000, acceptance of the report of revenues and expenses, monthly expenditure control report, report on contracts under $50,000 and cumulative total report, report on monthly grant awards, and the acceptance of donations. The recommendation is that the board, 1, authorize the purchases, and 2, accept the donations as listed in the attachments with appropriate acknowledgement to be made on behalf of the board.
All right, would administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, this evening, we're asking for your approval on the monthly finance matters before you. I have Agina Dumchek here with me from Procurement and Risk Management, and between the two of us, we're prepared to answer any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask any questions? Directors on board.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. Would the administration be able to just talk to us a little bit more about the Learning A to Z platform subscription? Is that something that we've currently been using? Is this part of meeting some of our goals around reading or with the science of reading legislation?
Administration?
Chair Garcia, Director Zombor, members of the committee, Janina Domchik, Director of Procurement and Risk Management. Yes, the district has been utilizing this platform since approximately 2008. And this platform makes it easy to target the skills, strategies, and points of emphasis with respect to curriculum and state standards. And now I will turn it over to the sponsor to address this in more detail for you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, as Ms. Evans get ready, I just want to make sure that we don't have dead air.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Evans?
Chair Garcia, we've had in the committee, we've had this program for, I think, about 15 years or so. Teachers utilize it. One of the things that it helps is to help differentiate instruction for our students. It has books at various levels. It also has an alignment with our Hope Mifflin hardcore reading curriculum, vocabulary activities as well, and we also have a Spanish component that we recently purchased for our bilingual schools.
Very nice. Director Zombor, any follow-up?
No, that's it.
All right. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker requests for this item, Madam Chair.
Okay, one more question, Director Zombor.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. Actually, well, I have a question about the grant report. So I saw that there was a grant for, where, that's the correct, this is the same item, right? I can ask that question. 300,000 grants to support a model composting program. I'm just wondering if that's for a specific school. I'm really excited to see that because I see we spend a lot of money on, composting services every month. And I'm just wondering, is that to replace some of those services, or is this in addition to it for a composting program at a specific school, or is it district-wide?
Administration?
Chair Garcia, Director Zombor. This grant is helping us with composting at certain sites, and I'm going to have Sean Kane add to the comment, but it's through the Department of Agriculture, and it's $300,000. and it's to help us have a model composting so that we have something to help us if we need to expand that. But go ahead, Sean.
Chair Garcia, Director Zomber, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance Services. As Mrs. Kreitzman kind of indicated, yes, that is kind of, it's in the making. I mean, right now, with our sustainability area, we're trying to move forward, but right now, for the most part, schools have been actively working like Compost Crusader on their own, using their own school funds and budgets typically as of late.
Follow-up?
So maybe the end goal is to replace that or to supplement it? Or it's still in the making, we're not sure yet.
Chair Garcia, Director Zomber, Sean Kane, Senior Director, Facilities and Maintenance Services. Yeah, I would say the other thing, too, that to keep in mind is that the schools need to actively create a green team. I mean, at each school site, so, I mean, that's part of it, because you can want something to be given them, but you got to have an active program and a group of people that are, willing to push forward with that. So I know we've been trying to reach out to schools, and especially with the green schoolyard reconstruction projects, we were trying to see if there's what type of opportunities we can work it out with schools, but it's in the making at this point.
Follow-up?
No, just thank you to everyone who worked on getting that grant. I think that's really exciting.
All right, thank you. Director Leonard?
Just some clarity on the parallel employment group. So I don't know if you need someone else out here for that, but I'm looking for some kind of quantification. How do we know how effective they are at, what kind of comparisons can we make with regards to how well they bring in paraprofessionals and substitute teachers?
Administration?
Chair Garcia, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Adrian Manalini, Chief Human Resources Officer. With Parallel Employment Group, they do bring in substitute teachers and paraprofessionals. We have had greater success when it comes to paraprofessionals that they've been able to provide. We've been very thankful for their ability to provide paraprofessional staffing to us. We have gotten a lot of good feedback from our schools about the individuals. The substitute teachers have been a little bit more challenging, but we have used Parallel mostly for paraprofessional subs. And we work closely with them on a regular basis, weekly, if not daily, saying, okay, we need, you have a para, we need them at this school. They're down X amount of pairs. Anyone can you have? We got to send them there. They have been responsive. We definitely think it's a value add for us to have this extra support, considering the number of paraprofessional vacancies that we do have. And we do have an agreement in place with them that if they work with Parallel for a certain amount of time, we can bring them on, and we can hire them on as paraprofessionals with us in the district. And that is something we track. And then whenever a paraprofessional gets to that point, close to 6 to 9 months of where they have service, we reach out to the principal. Do you recommend them? Do we want to hire them? And then we move forward in the hiring process with them.
Any follow-up, Director Leonard?
No, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments or questions? All right. So then what is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Zomber.
I move approval of the administration's recommendations regarding the monthly finance matters.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On the motion by Director Zomber to approve the administration's recommendations, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
And Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item 4, action on the award of professional services contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would the administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, this evening we're asking your approval of the professional service contracts before you. Janine Adamczyk, Director of Procurement and Risk Management, is here with me this evening, and we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions about this item? Director Zambor.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. Similar question to Director Leonard's on the parallel. Does this contract have like a work to hire option as well? I mean, is that in the contract? And if so, about how long do people have to work in the district before we can hire them?
Administration?
Chair Garcia, Director Zambor, Adrian Madeline, Chief Human Resources Officer. Yes, the Goodwill Town Bridge contract does have a temp to hire component, and Goodwill has been a great partner. Basically, after 90 days, they serve as a temp with them. We can hire them directly, so that has been critical for us. The Goodwill Town Bridge contract, this is like our big umbrella contingent staffing where it covers our paraprofessionals, mostly our CHAs and food service assistant subs, clerical subs. So this is the bulk, but we still take advantage of Parallel and other organizations as well that can support our temporary staffing needs. But Goodwill has been a good partner, and we do work with them closely to transition those individuals, especially the food service and CHA folks, to permanent hire.
Any follow-up?
That's just one more. And you don't have to get this information tonight, but it would be interesting to see kind of how many folks come through Goodwill Talent Bridge, how many stay, and how long were they working until we hired them, just to kind of get that full picture to make sure we're not like staffing the whole district with temps. And I know that's not what's happening, but as the temp contracts increase every year, I think it's something to be mindful of and watch, just to keep a close eye on it.
Administration?
Chair Garcia, Director Zambor. Yeah, we can absolutely try and put together some information detailing the individuals that we have transitioned and what that looks like.
Thank you. And then Director Zambor, do you want that just to be shared with us committee members?
Yeah, I think whatever's easiest, it would be good, probably for the committee to have that data.
All right, perfect. And then, so we'll just make a note of that for administration. Thank you. All right, is there any further discussion? What is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? President Herndon.
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the administration's recommendation on this item.
All right, any further discussion? All right, seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
Madam Chair, before I call the roll, just for the record, we had no requests from the public to speak on this item. Director Herndon has moved approval of the administration's recommendation. On that motion, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zambor.
Aye.
And Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item 5, action on a request to waive administrative policy 3.09, parent 9, parent E, and issue a contract with Loomis Armored US LLC, doing business as Loomis for Armored Car Services. The recommendation is that the board waive administrative policy 3.09, parent 9, parent E, and authorize the contract as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would the administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, the item before you on this evening's agenda is a request to waive Administrative Policy 3.09 to issue a contract with Loomis Armored Car Services. I have Janina Dumchak, Director of Procurement and Risk Management, and together we are prepared to answer any questions you may have in this item. Thank you.
Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Zambor.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. Is this, so this is a new contract, we haven't used Loomis before, or we have used Loomis before?
Administration?
Chair Garcia, Director Zambor, members of the committee, Janine Adamczyk, Director of Procurement and Risk Management. This is a new contract that we would be having. This vendor is able to meet our delivery dates that we require, so we are asking that we waive the policy to extend it for a longer term period because it's more cost effective for us.
Any follow-up? All right, do we have any members of the public that wish to make comments?
We have no speaker requests on this item, Madam Chair.
All right, what is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Leonard.
I move that we accept the recommendation to waive policy 3.099E recommended by the administration.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair, can I clarify the motion? So the motion was to waive policy and authorize the
And accept their recommendation,
okay.
yes.
Thank you.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Leonard's motion to approve the administration's recommendations, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zombor.
Aye.
And Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next item, please.
The next item is item 6, action on monthly facilities matters, FMS award of construction, professional services contracts, equipment purchase, and contract modification recommendation. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached construction and professional services contracts, equipment purchase, and contract modification as indicated in the attachments.
Thank you. Would administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, we are asking for your approval on the monthly facilities matters related to awards of professional services contracts and reports on an exception to bid purchases. Sean Kane, Senior Director of Facilities and Maintenance Services, along with Dr. Catrice Cotton, is here with me this evening, and we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item. Thank you.
Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Zombor, then President Herndon.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. So I guess I already know the answer to this question, but I wanted to raise it because I think when you look at the fire alarm replacement totals, to me that seemed really high, but I'm not a fire alarm replacement expert. So just for clarity and for the public, can you comment on how many RFPs how many RFPs we received, and if this was the lowest bid for these? Because it's making me question all my career choices.
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Zomber, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance Services. The cost for the fire alarm system of that size of a facility is within reason. We did get 2 bids on the one, and we got 3 bids on the other. We proactively try to solicit and advertise for bidding purposes, typically 3 weeks. And just right now, it's just kind of the bidding environment that we have, that's the type of cost that we're getting. And it's a full-grade fire alarm replacement, and that also includes notification signage where you typically wouldn't have that at some sites. So, I mean, right now specifically, that's the reason we have for Milwaukee Sign Language for that program, but then also at Rufus King.
Thank you. Any follow-up?
No, that's helpful to know the difference for Milwaukee Sign Language. And then I guess just are the folks that are doing the work, they're typically electricians. I mean, is that anything we could ever do in-house, or does it take a certain skill set or safety knowledge about, the fire alarm systems?
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Zomber, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance Services. We have on staff at the moment 12 electricians, and right now their major concentration is trying to do repairs, lights, work on a generator, outlets, et cetera. So that's why we typically bid those type of size projects out. I mean, we're mostly, I'd say, on the repair side of things, not to say that our folks are not licensed and can't commit or complete the work. It's just not feasible, at this point, for something like that. And a project that you have for a fire alarm, which makes it challenging as well, is that you have a system that's down, and by code, you need to have the active fire alarm system for educational facilities. So a lot of times those projects are typically done over the summer when we got no staff, no students around, because we wouldn't be able to do those type of projects typically during a school year. We could probably start running raceways and some of the infrastructure, but to manually flip it over to the system, that's where the challenge is.
Any follow-up?
No, I just appreciate the explanation. That's helpful to understand, and hopefully we can get lots of our students into programs where they can do this work, because it's definitely, it would be nice to bring some students back in-house to do that.
President Herndon.
My question is in relation to the Hogan Environmental Cleaning and probably Integrity Environmental Services as well, if both of those are the two cleaning contracts. And in that this is a renewal, I wanted to know if you've got a performance review on the services that they've been providing in the past, because I know for me, from time to time, I do hear a complaint here and there, not saying that it's from these particular entities, but I was wondering if you did have such information or process that you would be tracking that type of information.
Administration.
Chair Garcia, President Herndon, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities Maintenance Services. The Hogan and the other integral contracts are actually for asbestos abatement and removal and environmental. They're not cleaning contracts. And right now, just due to the volume of ESSER work that we had, that's why we had to bump it up, because we originally have 4 firms that we're working with. And when there's times there's a lot of work, and especially with asbestos abatement, you have to be very sensitive due to the nature of the removal of material. But right now, with all the work that we have, sometimes we have 4 different contractors doing stuff. And then also at times you have unforeseen conditions. You open up a wall, and then there's something environmental that we have to work with. So right now, it's just trying to put us in a better position to make sure we have enough blanket coverage to bring on contractors. Because a lot of times you could try to schedule this out as much as you can, but sometimes you have emergencies that you have to address immediately.
Any follow-up, President Herndon?
No, I apologize for that. It was difficult with this item to determine whether it was cleaning services or abatement. So the same would hold true for the abatement, though, because that is critical for all sorts of health services. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public that wish to make comments?
Madam Chair, we have no speaker requests for this item.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Leonard.
Sorry, you were too fast for me.
Oh, question.
I did have just a general question, just for my own learning's sake. So what I'm inferring is that we are getting less people making bids, and that's going to drive up the cost. Is that pretty much what we're saying? Most likely, anyway.
Chair Garcia, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance Services. Yes, I mean, there's multiple things right now. Material prices really have not gone down even since the pandemic. Right now as well, we're kind of bidding against ourselves because we had all the work going on at the same time. We have been trying to work with schools to see if we can get certain ESSER 3 scopes done during the school year, so it's not interrupting operations. But, a lot of times, too, for the most part, a lot of projects do happen over the summer, and they're all happening at the same time. And you're trying to work with the pool of contractors you have, so that's sometimes you do see those costs get driven up. I know our team, and working with others through procurement, we try to actively outreach to certain contractors, get some new blood, per se, in the system, which would be very helpful. So it's just, there's a lot of work going on besides us in the construction industry.
Any follow-up?
No, thank you, thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? No? All right, so then what is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Leonard.
So I move approval of the monthly facilities matters recommended by the administration.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On the motion by Director Leonard to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zombor.
Aye.
Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item 7, action on approval of a grant application with the Bicycle Federation of Wisconsin for bicycle and walking safety programs. The recommendation is that the board approve the grant application from the Wisconsin Department of Transportation supporting the Safe Routes to School grant application.
Would administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, the item before you is a request to approve the submission of a grant application for the Bicycle Federation of Wisconsin for bicycle and walking safety programs. This evening, I have with me Carlos Rodriguez, curriculum specialist, to share this information regarding this application, and after which we'll be more than happy to entertain any questions that you may have. See that I have Dr. Boland as well as Jennifer Mims-Howe that's going to accompany. Go ahead, Carlos.
Thank you, Dr. Prosley. Chair Garcia, members of the committee, administration is requesting approval to apply for the continuation of the Safe Routes to School grant. The grant application would be for fiscal year 27 and 28 in collaboration with the Wisconsin Bike Federation. If the application is approved, MPS will receive a grant amount of $607,300. The required match is 20%. Year one would be $60,730. Year two, $60,730 for a total of $121,460. Safe Routes to School is an international movement that uses programs and infrastructure to encourage children to walk and bicycle to school. SRTS programs seek to improve conditions in your schools and encourage more walking and bicycling when it is safe to do so. NPS has been implementing the Safe Routes to School program since 2004. Schools are selected, chosen based on the injury and accident reports we receive from the Department of Transportation and Children's Wisconsin. Wisconsin Bike Federation centers are focused around those schools in the high-risk areas.
That concludes our presentation, and we are more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Leonard.
Just that I've seen the program in action on and off for a lot of years. Excellent program. I think it's a great idea. Seeing our students responding to it when I was at Bethune Academy, and also I believe at 65th Street School when I was there, the response was so positive, and the fact that it's a matching grant, it really is well worth our effort to continue with that program.
Thank you. And I did want to call out the fact that it's also includes a portion of training at North Division. So I just wanted to highlight that for our listening audience, that it's not only a grant that is strengthening a partnership with a community organization that wants safer streets and that benefits, all of our schools, all of our communities, but that we're also embedding a component of workforce development. So I don't know if there's anything that you want to highlight about that portion of it. I just think that it's an important part of this.
Chair Garcia and members of the committee, thank you for that. Yes, they do have an in-house bike shop that they use with the high school students to develop skills that in the future they can maybe be bike repairers and have their own shop as well.
Awesome, thank you for that. Do we have any committee members that want to make comments or ask other questions? Director Zambor.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. This is kind of related. Do you know if they take bike donate? I actually get questions a lot about where can I donate my bike to MPS. Do you know if they take bike donations for that program?
Administration.
Director Sambord and members of the committee, yes, they do take donations. Those donations are given right to the students after they're repaired.
Okay, thank you.
All right, do we have any members of the public that wish to make comments?
Madam Chair, we have no speaker requests for this item.
All right, any other committee members? All right, what is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? President Herndon.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of administration on this item.
Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zombor.
Aye.
And Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item 8, action on a request to amend the MPS Retirement Plan Committee Charter. The Office of Accountability and Efficiency recommends the board approve the charter amendments as indicated in the attachments.
Thank you. Would administration please present the item? Or Mr. Chasen, please present the item.
Thank you, Chair Garcia, Matt Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. It was a little over a year ago that the board created this retirement plan committee as one of the recommendations from an audit that had been done on some of our retirement plans. As the committee has started to begin this effort, it recognized some opportunities within the existing charter language to remove some ambiguity about clear lines of authority and responsibilities related to the committee's work. If you wanted to see specifically what was in play, I would direct your attention to the red line version of the documents, page 8. You can see specifically what's carved out there. But otherwise, this will help specifically move the work of the committee forward, and that's why we ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? No? All right, do we have any members of the public that wish to make comments?
Madam Chair, we have no speaker requests for this item.
Excellent. So then what is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Leonard.
I move that we accept the recommendation from administration to amend the MPS retirement plan charter.
Madam Chair, may I clarify the motion? It was the Office of Accountability and Efficiency making the recommendation.
Sorry. Got it. Thank you.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On the motion by Director Leonard to approve the recommendation of the Office of Accountability and Efficiency, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zombor.
Aye.
And Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on tonight's agenda.
Well, there being no further business before the committee, this meeting is adjourned.